Hey everybody. So for my first quote for chapter 2, I chose, "The leader influences by helping team members see all the possibilities within the team, including those that may not yet be visible." So I think the author is saying, as a leader, you want to be able to help your team members out by giving them the tools and knowledge they will need to tackle the tasks at hand. So for me, knowing the possibilities and alternatives when performing tasks allows me to learn and adapt to other ways of doing things. With advances in technology, you need to know how to incorporate this into your daily work. I see technology as a tool, not as a tool and something that helps simplify tasks. Let's go back to an example because it'll make it easier. So when I was in the Air Force, bringing this kind of around, we actually had a inventory system that was DOS based. For those of you who don't know what that is command line, where you have to put commands in rather than clicking on icons and using GUI and everything like that. So we had that originally for our inventory tracking system for the mobility department I was in. Within about a year and a half, so it's still quite a bit. So this was, remember, back in 98. We were kind of behind, if you think about it. We actually got to incorporate a new tracking system, which was Windows-based, and it used a GUI, which was really nice. So we had, all the capabilities of having extra, and we'd be able to put more stuff in. We could use barcodes. We printed barcodes for our bags so we could just scan them, which was really cool. So, being able to have that, our supervisors, had to be our guide and convince us that this is a good thing, it's not a bad thing. So I think that's where a leader influences by helping a team member see what the future has, what's in store. And this was the future of where we were at the time. It made it a lot better, and it made it quicker for issuing chem bags when there was a bunch of people coming through. So that was my first quote. So my second quote: "In order for you to lead in an effective manner, you need to be aware of the assumptions you possess about what motivates people to do their very best work." So the author is saying you need to be aware of what each of your members considers a motivational factor. Remember, not all of them are the same. There's not two people who are alike. You're not going to have, you may have some people that are similar, but there's still going to be those times where, one person likes a monetary reward, where somebody else would rather just, have accolades and recognition for a job well done. With that, let's go back to the military again for me. It's just where my experience is. When I first started, I didn't want to go to work. I didn't like my supervisor. I didn't feel like, because I was the low man on the totem pole, I just didn't feel very, how to put it, included or important, even though I was still important. Within a few months, I ended up getting a new supervisor, which was awesome for me. And he actually was one of those people that he was like a second dad to me. He was there when I was down. He was there, to really encourage me to strive and do my best, in everything I did. It's hard. It's, I get emotional. I miss it a lot because he was an individual that really I was able to look up to, and he was a mentor for me, for growing in the service. So yeah, so that's my second for numbers for chapter 2. So for chapter 14, I chose some short ones, but I think they're very important. So for the first one, writers must be sure to use correct spelling and grammar. This is huge. I cannot stand trying to read something when the individual didn't even take the time to make sure it was spelled correctly, that there was correct grammar, even, having the correct punctuation. I think society's become lazy when it comes to spelling and grammar and capitalizing words, and people are just so used to doing shorthand with text and Facebook and all the other social media out there that they just don't care, and they should care, especially if you're in a professional environment. You need to really watch what you're doing. Even in school, it's really hard to try to read through individuals' posts when there are a lot of spelling issues, or nothing's properly capitalized. It makes it difficult to read. I'm a pretty quick reader, but I am a word for word reader, so I don't skim as much. I don't like to skim as much. I used to when I was younger. I struggled reading growing up, so that's something I've worked on for many years, and I've become pretty good at reading, and that, so it's really hard for me to not catch those little things, because I am, like I said, a word for word reader. So my last one is, one pitfall in attempting to write concisely is a tendency to oversimplify. So the author is saying, to simplify a document or email doesn't mean you need to take out important elements that would have made it more understandable. So for example, by taking out pronouns and conjunctions and those important elements, you're losing what you were trying to say by not having those in there. People are going to read it and be like, I honestly have no idea what you were trying to say. But it's kind of twofold. Think about it on the other spectrum. Say you asked a question and you want a concise, simple answer. Well, what if you get one of those people that is like, oh, I have to explain everything? That makes it really hard, because then now you're having to go through it yourself and skim and try to figure out, okay, now with the question I asked, where is the response? Where is the answer? I just needed the simple answer. Sometimes it's difficult. Maybe the person didn't understand your question, and that's why they went to the extreme of explaining things. Discussing this with my son, he's 17 and he's very intelligent, so it's really fun to discuss with him. And one of his comments I found really intriguing was, maybe someone, if you're going to do that, if you're going to respond with like a long explanation, maybe summarize in a sentence or two at the beginning and then explain it. That way, if the individual only needed that simple explanation, they get it, but then they could also have that a little extra information, because sometimes you don't know. Sometimes it's difficult when it's an email or something like that, because you're not getting that face-to-face, one-on-one feedback. So, those are my ideas. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that out there, having, either it's too short or it's missing stuff and you're trying to piece things together, or it's too complex and you ended up with a paragraph where you needed a sentence. And then you're trying to figure out what in that was the response you needed. So I don't know. Good luck, you guys, and hopefully we get some good responses here.